Welcome to the Mindset, Marketing and Money podcast, hosted by me, Dean Seddon. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss future episodes. So I have managed to convince Tom Thompson to come on the podcast. Tom, you may not know, but he works behind the scenes with me on my socials and my content. And I dragged him on. We're sat in a motel in Atlanta. And I said, I had to do a podcast. And I said, everybody would be sick of just hearing me. So Tom, will you come on? And he agreed. Tom, thank you for coming on the podcast.
You're very welcome.
So I thought we would talk about TikTok, because that's been one of our little missions this last 5 months.
Almost 6, yeah.
Yeah.
6.
And like for about a year and a half before Tom joined MAVERRIK, I was like, this TikTok thing is flipping hard. Anyway, we decided to crack it. And I hate to say we have, because as soon as you say we have, it all goes wrong, right?
I mean, I think cracking TikTok, the art to it is you've never really cracked it. I think by the time you've cracked it, it's changed. So it's an ongoing experiment, but it's a lot better than it was. That's what I would say.
So just backing up from this, because I think it's a really interesting story. I'm going to the aircon fired up. But, you know, we'll leave it alone. You came into a full-time role in social media, having only done it kind of as part of your job before.
Mm-hmm.
What was that kind of learning curve like for you in terms of this whole social media thing's now taking up every bit of your working day?
I think to start with, it felt like a bit of a weight off my shoulders more than anything. As much as it is a lot to learn in a short space of time, I knew from my previous role that even though it was a small aspect of what I was doing, it was the aspect of my job that I liked the most. Mm-hmm. So coming into doing this full time, I kind of knew that was going to be the case. It wasn't, I didn't have to go through a period of, oh, is this for me? I kind of already knew it would be. But in terms of like the day to day of actually how much goes into it was pretty eye opening, and kind of the experimenting and trying to find out what works, what doesn't, and all that sort of thing kind of.
And why sometimes things work and then you try and do it again and it doesn't.
Yeah, the kind of the trying to work out patterns, and then also being able to admit when there probably isn't a pattern and it's luck, or whether it's time of day, whether it's how some random person that decides to like your post within the first however long on a particular platform just so happens to give it that boost on that one particular day. That does happen as well. And there are patterns to it, but I think as well, it's all consistency. It's just keep going with it, and eventually you're going to see improvement. If it doesn't take off, it's still going to improve at least.
Mm. And thinking about that kind of like consistency, because like it's not just about just posting, is it? It's like can you remember when we did the crazy thing in Gatwick?
Mm. Yeah,
that was kind of the moment when we were, let's just try this.
Yeah,
and it kind of took off.
Yeah, I think there was kind of the moment where we realized all the rules and everything kind of goes out the window when something like that happens, and you can jump on something that is so kind of trendable. And obviously we were in you'd call it unfortunate because you were waiting for your flights, but I'd call it fortunate situation of being sort of in the midst of a global crisis to the point where we could utilize it for views on TikTok. And that's exactly what we did, made the most of a bad situation. But obviously, had we not been there, I think in hindsight now, what we would have done instead is from the office, we'd have made a TikTok about it, and it probably still would have done quite well. It wouldn't have done as well as, being in the airport and on different news outlets and whatever, which obviously gave us a boost. But I still think that in hindsight, we'd have done more with that than we would have done before we realized that those sort of trending topics were so key to success on TikTok.
So that whole journey of being consistent and learning from it, it's actually quite frustrating. Emotionally, it's quite difficult as well, though, isn't it? Because it's like,
it
is a roller coaster. How did you kind of deal with that?
I think it's more about having the expectation. I think if you sometimes you can put hours into a post, or whether it's a meme that I've made that I myself particularly find funny, or entertaining in whatever way, and then it flops. It can be demoralizing, but I think you've kind of got to go into every post with the mindset of let's see what happens, because when you do that, it's kind of, even when it flops, it's information. So whether it does well or whether it doesn't, it's still valuable to me when I then go and make another one. So I think you learn from everything you post, whether it works or not.
Wait, the Greg's TikTok was actually...
Yes, that was just spur of the moment, but I mean, I use a lot of templates, and then obviously you scroll through templates, and you kind of, creatively, the way I work is I look at a template and something will just spark an idea about a current situation. Obviously we did that one about the riots in the UK at the time, and it just kind of came to my head straight away, but without seeing that template I wouldn't have thought to go and seek it out to do it. So it's kind of just scrolling and having a look and seeing what kind of sparks. But that one obviously did well, and then there was the Oasis one as well that we sort of jumped on that, and that flew. But yeah, it's just sort of having the ability on first thing in the morning to look at what's trending on that day and see if there's something we can sort of spin off it. And then obviously it's important to try and hone in and still make it relevant to what you actually want to be talking about, which obviously we're doing a little bit more now.
So do you think, because a lot of people listening to us are not going to be like TikTok sensations where they are known as an individual. But I have this theory that everybody on TikTok just stumbled into something and then just doubled down on it. And I think sometimes we think, oh, maybe we should switch topics or change it up. But actually a lot of people are doing really well by just finding something that they can put an angle on and just double down on it.
100%. And TikTok, I think, is one of those platforms that, without sounding cringy, there's always the phrase of you can be anything you want to be, but TikTok's taken that to a whole new extreme, as we've seen. I know you've done a post about the guy that just does different things with cucumbers and different recipes.
Let's not talk about the cucumber video that I did.
But yes, I mean, there's a niche for everything, even if it's, you could throw something out there and you'd think there's absolutely nothing in that, but there's a crowd for everything on TikTok, it seems. So it's just a case of, once you find what works, just sort of beat it with a stick until it doesn't work anymore. Seems to be what a lot of people do, and it works for them.
One thing that we've noticed, and TikTok is something we do. It's not something we slave over for hours. Like literally, sometimes we're putting a video up and it's just done without any planning. We just go for it. But the videos that tend to do well, whenever you look at them in that search bar at the top, there's a clearly defined term. Just talk about what you've noticed with TikTok. So
that is kind of the fuel that a post needs to actually go viral or semi-viral in whatever way. I think if you that search bar at the top, normally if it doesn't sort of hook on to the algorithm, it will just say find related content. And if you've got one, it takes a while for it to pick up on it. But if you've got one after a few hours that still says find related content, you realistically know it's not going to take off unless it, for whatever reason, happens after 24 hours. We have seen it occasionally where that's happened. But generally speaking, in the first couple of hours, it needs to you kind of need TikTok to realize what it is that you're speaking about. So that's usually a hook. That's usually what kind of picks up on it, or the imagery that you're using. And then it will read sort of into the content, into the video that you made, and it will take what it thinks is the most relevant title and put that in that search bar. So then anyone that's searching for example, we did one on Elon Musk, and then it just became Elon Musk as the find related content bar. So anyone who's searching for anything about Elon Musk, which obviously at the moment is a lot of people, our videos start coming up. So that's kind of when you sort of gain the traction, and then obviously that's where it snowballs and becomes a much bigger thing.
And if we think about the way TikTok works, you watch a video about one thing and then it starts serving up more and more stuff for you in that kind of genre or topic. So, you stop and listen to it, you watch a Elon Musk video, and then basically your TikTok feed ends up with loads of Elon Musk stuff in it.
Yeah.
Do you think the main reason, and I don't know this, but that a lot of people don't have a clear point to make in their videos, and that makes it harder for TikTok to kind of pick up, oh, this is an Elon Musk video.
Yeah, I think if, and we've probably been victims of this in the past. I think if you're making a video and you're trying to make a convoluted point in sort of using Elon Musk, but you speak too much about the actual point you're trying to make, it won't pick up on it. So it's almost like you've got to dumb your content down a little bit for it to actually get there. Because obviously that's what TikTok is more than any other platform, is you're trying to appeal to the masses.
Well, it's pure entertainment, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And we learned very quickly, obviously doing a lot of LinkedIn stuff, that, and I know I've said there's a market for everything, but obviously the size of that market does differ on TikTok, and there's not a huge amount of people that go to TikTok to learn how to do things on LinkedIn.
No.
So when we pivot,
the main things what I've seen on TikTok about LinkedIn have been the funny stuff,
yeah,
and the career tips,
yeah,
that kind of stuff. I've not really seen decent traction on proper kind of value-packed LinkedIn content on there.
No, and I think it's because, again, it's more broad. It doesn't niche down so much in terms of the entertainment aspect. So you get the typical memes about LinkedIn being cringy, and sort of the types of people that are on there, and the way they sort of turn any sort of important life lesson into how you can do whatever with B2B business and whatever. So it's really one of those where it's a lot of waffle about just then trying to entertain people. And obviously there's a time and a place for the educational content, but personally, I don't think, from a LinkedIn perspective, or at least a specifics perspective, I don't think TikTok's the place for that.
Yeah, and I've seen that kind of on Instagram, is that, like, I've said this before, right? If you go on Instagram, there's a whole load of Instagram growth people, and it's like the easiest sell in town to sell Instagram growth on Instagram.
Yeah.
And LinkedIn growth on LinkedIn, and TikTok growth on TikTok. It's like the easiest gig in town. But actually, if you're, let's say you are, like, I can flex what I talk about, because also, although I'm kind of known on LinkedIn and known for LinkedIn, kind of we help people grow their business. So I can flex into those broader topics. What about people who are kind of like in coaching spaces and stuff like that? What do you think, how do you think they fit without going so obscure that, like, I'm talking about completely things that are not my bag? How can they jump on trending topics but put their spin on it?
Well, I mean, it's exactly that. I think, if you're talking from a business perspective, I think it's all about relatability. So it's as we've been doing, I think you've got to take stories that are based on trending people. So again, Elon Musk has been a great example recently, because he's been everywhere in the news. You kind of, I don't know, you talk about the story of him getting with the situation with PayPal or the Tesla and everything he's done there, and kind of the sort of the business mindset that is required to do the things he's done. And I think all you're doing yet there is using the hook of his name and his achievements to boost the point you're trying to make, which is kind of all you can do, really. I think, obviously, depending on the sort of the coach that you are and what it is that you're doing, but in terms of sales training and sales coaching, there's so much of it everywhere that, and especially on TikTok, and it's a lot of, to be fair, the market on TikTok is very sort of diluted by influencers who are trying to teach you sales, or actually what they're trying to do is teach you to buy their course on sales. And it's all quite superficial. So I think really the way to stand out is to make it about what other people care about, and then funnel it back to what it is that you're actually talking about. So,
like, I'm a mindset coach, say Elon Musk is a popular character. Use Elon Musk to explain my point and then relate it back. But yeah, like, let's say, we know a lot of people are afraid of what could go wrong on social media. Like, there's this huge paranoia that somebody will post or comment something and it'll destroy their career.
Yeah.
Like, we could talk about, well, look at Elon Musk. He's built his old brand by just saying what he thinks.
Yeah.
And
exactly that. Yeah.
Every post he does there's people who love him and hate him, and he just gets on with it. Like almost that kind of style thing, just like relating it. It's starting with, this is the point I want to make. How can I make it with a trending and a well-known person or a well-known topic or something that's on the agenda right now?
Yeah, well, I mean, if you did a TikTok, let's say 30 seconds to a minute TikTok on why, if you've got a career on social media, why you shouldn't worry about sort of cancel culture and saying the wrong thing, it wouldn't do half as well as if you made exactly the same video but explained how someone like Elon Musk has done that himself. If you just name drop him or use him, an example or an anecdote from his story or someone like him, it will do, whatever X the amount of views that it would do if you don't use an anecdotal situation like that.
And a lot of people, as we started doing this, where we were using basically whatever was going on in the world to make a point, we started to notice more and more people actually do this. Some of the big accounts do this all the time, but do you know, like when you know something and you go, yeah, of course that makes sense to do that. But it had never actually dropped for me that, oh yeah, maybe we should do this.
Yeah. And I think that stems from, whether they like it or not, TikTok will have a reputation for being the silly one. And it kind of has done, and any new platform normally will do to start with. Instagram was very similar when that came out, and then the business people could do on Instagram is limitless now. And TikTok's pretty much the same, but it's still got that sort of Gen Z tag to it, that it's kind of like the wider world doesn't understand it. And obviously everyone realistically knows what it is, what it's about, but a lot of people turn their nose up at it, but the possibilities on it are endless now.
So somebody's getting started. How often do you reckon they should post?
So there's a lot to be said about it. It obviously depends, I think, on what you're posting. If you're just getting out whatever it is that you're posting on other platforms and you want to see what works, there's probably not a number that's too many. I would go for a couple, maybe 3 a day. If you're just sort of junk posting and just trying to see what works. If you're at a point where you've got something and let's say, a lot of people do sort of series of videos, or if you're doing what we did and sort of jumping on trends, you've got to give those posts time to do well. Same way, if you are posting 3 times a day and let's say the second post of the day starts to take off, I probably wouldn't post a third. Yeah. I'd wait and see how that does sort of overnight and sort of let it build naturally. But once you've sort of got one that you think is I'm putting this out there and I kind of know it's going to work because something's happened, a news story or something, and you kind of jumped on that, I would suggest 1 a day is a good number. We obviously do 5 a week, I would say, on an average. If you're doing them on weekends as well, I don't think it would matter, but there's definitely something to be said for if you post one and it starts doing well and then you post another one straight away, it can kill it, and it can kill it quite quickly. We've
noticed this, haven't we? Like when a post's rolling, and I did one the other day and it was like a 3-minute TikTok, and I said to you, I'm not sure this is going to do all right. Yeah. It's a bit long. And then we got up to about 46K on it. But the one straight after it didn't get anywhere near. And I do think there's something that happens where when a post takes off, like until that one's settled down, the ones after it, if you do one after it, well, like if we got stuck into a routine and we said we do it every day, no matter what.
Yeah.
I do think you'd end up harming what you're doing if you try and just do that, even if one's popping off.
Yeah. And I think I think it gets to a point where the algorithm potentially, or the situation with your account is you'll get a certain amount of views. You'll almost get yourself to a baseline where to start with, we're on a baseline of like 200 views per video. And when I first started doing it,
we got excited about 700 views.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, you get one like that and it was great. And then we got a TikTok that I think it might have been the one at the airport, actually. It might have been that one that got nearly 200,000, I think it was. And then after that, you kind of drop back down to where you normally are, but it never quite gets back to the low level. So we were then baselining at around 600 views. And then the next one that took off, we'd then baseline at around 700 to 1,000. So it does, I think your account has a baseline depending on how many sort of viral or successful videos you
how many hits you get. It's almost like TikTok says, right, if you generally get more hits, we'll give you a bit more rope to...
Yeah, I think if it's kind of a you'll scratch, if you scratch our back, we'll scratch your sort of thing. So if you put a video out that does well and you do that pretty consistently, TikTok rewards you in pushing that to more accounts, I think. And obviously that's just an algorithm that happens on every platform. But I do think there's maybe slightly more to be said for it with TikTok, because they do, even when you then post one that's necessarily not as good or not as based on a trending topic or something, it still never quite drops back down to where it was before.
The interesting thing for me is like the disparity of likes and comments and favorites to views, because there's no pattern.
Nope.
Like we've had one with 1,000 likes and like average views, and then we've had some with like 34 that have gone ballistic.
Yeah.
Just want to talk about that a little bit more, because I don't think people realize, like, for me, it seems like the completion rate, how much time people watch the video, matters more than all those other bits. Yeah,
it's completion rate, and it's also shares. So I think if you're making a TikTok that you're making, let's say you're talking about something political or something with a point to make, that is probably quite a serious point or quite a controversial point, those are the ones generally that will get a better likes to views ratio, because someone will see it and they'll agree with you, or they won't agree with you and they'll tell you that they'll agree with you in the comments. So those are the ones that have sort of a stronger ratio in terms of the likes front. But then if you post a meme about said trending topic, like for example the Greg's one we did, that don't get me wrong, it still got a lot more likes than normal, but that's because it got 140, 50k views. But that's because I think, and as a consumer of content on TikTok myself, I think I don't like a lot of stuff. Even if I've enjoyed a video, I'm more likely to laugh at it and send it to my mate, rather than actually take the time to like that piece of content. Whereas if there is something that is maybe a bit more long form, maybe like you said, like a 1.5, 3-minute video, and it's someone that makes a good point, I'm a lot more likely to actually like that, but less likely to share it. So I think that's where you get the situation where your likes are probably more, but you haven't had the shares, so the views don't sort of get the momentum that you'd want.
What about production quality? What's your take on, do you need them to be slick or not, or what works?
So no, I think on TikTok you don't. The benefit of having a decent production quality with these TikTok videos is that you can repurpose them, because I think something like Instagram, for example, you do need a better production quality. So that just helps for the use of recycling your content. If you have a short video that's just filmed camera on your phone and just a bit about you talking, you can put the TikTok filters on it or whatever. It's still viable it will still do well if the content's good. But then if you then put it on Instagram, it would flop. The only thing I would say about production quality is TikTok is obviously huge on. It's very aware that people have no attention span anymore. So anything that's short and sharp with a lot of quick edits, that will sort of naturally do better, because people won't swipe off it, because they're obviously having that sort of little bit of attention span that's being filled short and sharp, and they will stay for longer on something that's sort of flickering a bit more. Whereas if you've got a long video where the hook isn't right and you've not necessarily dragged people in straight away, people are a lot more likely to just swipe off it if it's just one frame of you talking to the camera.
Although I've done that and got away with it.
Yeah, but that's the content. That's the actual content of what you're saying, I think. I mean, even if it's, the hook's one thing, but then also the topic, if it's a trending or controversial topic, then you could, I think TikToks allow you to post up to like half an hour videos or something crazy now. So, it's unlikely that someone's going to watch 30 minutes of a video on TikTok. But I think 4 or 5 minutes, if you're posting about something that is an interesting topic that people sort of have a stake in, then they will stick around for it.
So one final thing on TikTok, and this has been a little bit of a journey for me. dealing with the negative stuff, because some of the best TikToks we've done have had a lot to say about, and a lot to say, like, people don't hold back on their opinions.
No. So I think people, the sort of the consumers of content on TikTok, and they're always user 3487, whoever, they've never actually got their name attached or a photo. I think the comment section on TikTok has become what Twitter used to be. And it's, people feel a much smaller level of accountability when they're commenting on TikTok. I don't know whether it's a generational thing, because I don't necessarily think it's actually the younger generation who are the main culprits in that.
Who creates these TikTok accounts? User 4, 5.
Exactly. So I think it is a case of people, there's no real consequence to, we've seen with the riots in recent months that people are getting prison time for tweets, which, you can say what you want about that, but that if that was a TikTok comment, it wouldn't have happened. I'm pretty confident in saying that, because we saw them, right? We posted that TikTok about the riots, about it was Walter White beating up a Greggs, and we got a lot of far right comments, sort of against what we posted, even though we kind of not really. We didn't take
a side on the politics of it.
Exactly, we just made a funny point.
I mean, we did kind of take a stand on the violence.
Sure.
But the politics of, people feeling like the country wasn't working, we kind of sat on the fence on that. But both sides took aim at the channel, because it was like, you're not saying what we want to hear.
Exactly.
Or half saying what we want to hear.
Yeah. And then there was also a lot of comments obviously from both the left and the right, but I think the sort of the more liberal side of things, they were sort of adding to our point, but a lot more extreme, which, political views are obviously, that's a great one to comment on, because people feel very strongly about them, so they will get involved in the comments, and we got hundreds of comments on that post, and people just started arguing with each other. And I think that's the thing is with sort of the negativity and whatever, I think there's a lot especially with that sort of meme sort of culture, and you kind of, it wasn't you in the video, it was just a meme template. I think people kind of disassociate the account to the video a lot of the time with situations like that. If it's you talking about it, people would have come for you. But because it wasn't, we were kind of able to just use that negativity, and they were sort of arguing amongst themselves, and whilst they were arguing amongst themselves, giving us loads of comments and momentum on the video. So in that situation, it works. And I think when it is you just talking, or when you're doing a piece to camera and someone's horrible on that, that's when you've just got to have the thick skin to laugh at it. I think because people are only saying it because they feel bad about themselves, and that's been the case on every social media platform since the dawn of the internet, really. That's the only reason people are horrible. But we know that when people are commenting, whatever it might be, it helps the post.
Yeah, a negative comment or a good comment, that the value of them are exactly the same.
Exactly.
I think the other thing that's quite challenging, and we'll wrap up after this, is it's very hard to be successful on social media generally and be middle of the road. Yeah. You've got to have a strong opinion on, or stand on certain things to actually get any traction.
Yeah, there is that. So that's, I would sort of take two stances on that. You've either got to have something to say and say it, or present a platform for other people to argue their points.
Yeah.
I think if you, rather than having a point, you could present an argument. And that in itself is also a really good way of sort of building momentum on an account without, because you get a lot of people that are worried about what they post and don't want to get in trouble, as you say. Best way to do it is to ask a question, because you're not really, you can have your own opinions and not say them, but you have to then ask a question. If you just don't say your opinions and don't ask questions, you're never going to get anywhere. So you kind of either need to say what you think, or, as I say, have
get
that
other
platform
people to say
what they think. Exactly that, yeah.
But that's about like setting the scene and going, this is happening and this is happening and this is being said and this is being said. What do you think?
Yeah, exactly.
Or you go, this is what I think and why, and this is why I think you should think it too.
Yeah. Yeah, and those I think are the only two ways in that sort of content. Obviously, you can do that, or you can post a video about a hydraulic press smashing up a Rubik's Cube, and that will also get 3 times the views. So
yeah,
there's that where that pattern that goes flying out the window. But for that kind of content, when you actually you want to make a point, you've either got to make a point or give other people the platform to make a point.
Yeah. So what's next, Tom? When do we get to 1 million followers on TikTok?
Well, we're in the States. There's plenty of opportunity to do silly little TikTok dances. Maybe that's...
No, I did that. If you scroll down, I don't know whether you've ever done this. If you scroll down, there's me attempting to do TikTok dances.
I did scroll down once. I might have missed that one. I might have
they're really bad. They're really bad. They're horrific. There's one of me dancing to Girls Aloud.
Brilliant.
And then there's this other one about corn, and I literally mime the song.
Was that the little kid with the...
Yeah.
Oh, that was one of those songs. I'm not really... And again...
It's not a song, it's an anthem.
Yeah, it is. It's a huge tune. It should have charted, I think, personally, but it was... What I was obsessed with it. But not obsessed with it, but like it was stuck in my head for weeks. But then that's the perfect example of why does it work? No idea. But it just works. Like it was... Was it funny? Not particularly. Was it cute? Maybe kind of. But it was just that. And that's that generational thing. That's that Gen Z humor that became massive for seemingly no reason.
Loving corn.
Yeah. And it was brilliant. Personally, my missus she actually got to the point where she was annoyed at me for the amount I was just singing it off the cuff randomly. So, yeah, I mean, that's the prime example of a piece of content.
I'll tell you what, if you get me to 1 million followers, I will do a silly dance on TikTok.
Now that is a task. Do I get to pick the dance?
Well, you've probably seen company footage of nights out of me trying to dance.
That is true.
The shuffle, as it's called. Tom, thank you for coming onto the podcast. Totally unscripted. I made a public commitment there. I will do a stupid dance when we get to 1 million followers. We're going to have to do a hell of a lot of work because I think we're at 17,000 or something on TikTok now.
Yeah, but that's an incentive now.
Just to kind of humiliate me and career end. Cool. Thanks, Tom. No, if you're on TikTok, come and find me and copy some of the experiments we're doing. Look at what we're doing and playing around with and adapting all those kind of well-known stuff to basically take on trends and use them for our own purpose. And you should do that too. So thank you for joining us. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast and tune in for the next episode where we're going to be talking about the three ways to sell your expertise on LinkedIn. Thanks for joining me on this episode of Mindset, Marketing and Money Podcasts. Don't forget to subscribe so you get notified about future episodes.